Perfect.
And we are now live.
Good morning. Good morning, Wen.
Yeah, when I love that when it says when, WEN, standing for Women's Entrepreneur Network, but I love when you say it. It's like when. When are you going to attain your goal? When are you going to start on your journey to live life by design? When? It's so powerful.
Well, we have only a half an hour, or actually, I guess 25 minutes or so. And I know we were just talking before we came on camera, and we have something really interesting to bring to light. And I say that meaning we have a conversation that we want to have in which I was learning something from you right before we came on here. So do you want to start with where we're at? What are we at? What are we talking about?
So we're at the step in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, because this is what this half hour is about, right? Napoleon Hill. And I'm enjoying this. And Haley and Karen can't join us. Karen's off in Mexico, and Haley's going to on a journey to Virginia. Can you believe she's going to Virginia to pick up her son? Which, like, I had to write her and say, I wish I was going with you. Drive a little further, go to Wise, and be in the energy of Napoleon Hill. And let me get back on track. So in the book, auto-suggestion is one of the, I think it's a third step towards riches.
Okay.
And
I think that makes sense.
I love that, the power of auto-suggestion. I love that we get to control something. Is it the third?
It is.
Okay, thank you. I would, but that brings me to a point. Let's say I would have said it was the fourth.
Well, what's funny is I'm reading it. So chapter 4, it's chapter 4, but the third step, auto-suggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about.
And you know what? But let's say we are constantly receiving information that's not accurate.
Okay.
And I'm
you mean just by nature? Just by nature.
We don't. Okay. You're excellent at this. I would say nobody could accuse you of not being an accurate thinker.
Thank you.
Accurate thinker is one of the 17 principles of Napoleon Hill, which we know because I was studying it. But an accurate thinker, it's so important to fact check. And we don't, because I could have said the fourth step to riches. Maybe you wouldn't have known the difference, because so often we learn not to fact check because it's irrelevant. If it's the third, if it's the fourth, if the fifth, I wouldn't get stuck on that. However, it's not accurate if I would say anything but third.
I will jump in, and for those that are new to me and new to Sage, to Katherine and I are Sage Navigation, and I'm a magazine editor by trade. Like, I have a master's in journalism. I was trained not just to write, but to copy edit, to fact check, to edit other people's work. So when somebody says something, in the back of my mind, I'm always like, and I'm also curious by nature. So if somebody says something and I'm not sure, I have to know the answer. Like, I am relentless. My husband says, you're like a dog with a bone. It's true. If I don't have it, I will stay up very late at night. It happened with my son last night. It's a long story, but we had to find this one answer to one thing that he was working on for his midterm today. And I couldn't go to bed, even though not my midterm, I'm not getting graded on it, but I wanted to know the answer just for my sake, not even to help my son. I was just curious. So yes,
it's a great, Napoleon Hill would say to you, if he were the one here talking, he would tell you that's a really great attribute to have.
My husband doesn't necessarily.
Well, neither. Sometimes I got to tell you, sometimes I think Jay and I are going to have a great conversation one day over a glass of wine, because we've probably had some of the same debates.
But, and I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to get back to the point. Because I've worked in print magazines since the 1990s, we would print at some of the publications I worked for in New York and Toronto and Montreal. Millions of copies would go to press and be distributed across the country internationally. And if there was a mistake in it, it's permanent. You cannot take it back. So that is why, like I said, I have years of training to ensure there are no errors, to make sure you fact check. So back to this.
But it's so important because we're talking about accurate thinking. And why are we not accurate thinking? Because sometimes we just don't pay attention. Sometimes we don't know if it's relevant, but it's so important when you're feeding your mind with something.
Okay, good point. Because
affirmation, your affirmation has to be accurate. So if you hear something and you hear magnesium's going to help me sleep better, all of a sudden, oh yeah, how do you know it's going to sleep better? Well, I heard it from so and so. I heard it from, I don't know, Jane. Well, where did Jane hear it? Do you see how it works? Well, Jane heard it from so and so. Okay, well, where did that person hear it? Well, they studied it in a book from Harvard. Who from Harvard? Was it a student writing a paper? Right. Was it an expert? So the process, I love that about you. I love that about Jean.
So I'm going to jump in and just say at Sage Navigation, and you can go to our website, you can see we give free workshops once a month. This month in November, we did a workshop on, among other things, the physical pillar. And within that workshop was a session by our health expert, Jean, who talked about sleep. And in that talk, there was talk about magnesium, and it sparked, something within our community. Everybody is now interested in learning more about magnesium, et cetera, et cetera. But even in that conversation that we had, this workshop, I was saying how you have it ingrained in your head about 10,000 steps. Why do you think 10,000 steps is a goal people have for their daily steps? Where did that come from? Who started that? Was it an actual medical professional that said this is the ideal? So those are the types of things we talk about at Sage. But not only that, it goes back to what you were saying, which is your subconscious mind. You get information. You store it. What happens? And this is where I know I'm looking at the clock. Tell us more about this third step.
Okay, and how this came to be is you feed your subconscious mind. So I want to do a fast overview of this that I learned not from Think and Grow Rich, but from Napoleon Hill. This is where I've learned it, and in his certification process that I've on that journey, right? So imagine your conscious mind accepts, rejects, and you know what's going on. You know what you're feeding it. You know what you're not feeding it. You know what you like. You know what you don't like. It's really easy. But what's not easy to control, a matter of fact, you cannot control it any other way than autosuggestion. So that's the importance of this. So everything you see, hear, feel, all your emotions, everything you think is going, and it's going like how you have a filter and the water goes through when you're making a pot of coffee, and the grounds, they don't go through. It's filtered. Well, that's your conscious mind. Now, guess what? The water and the beautiful coffee there, okay? You see that. But what you don't see are all of the things. You don't see how it filtered through. You don't see that it's invisible, what's in your subconscious mind. What happens is it just happens. The coffee, you decide the grounds are not going through. And I just thought of this, so you'll have to excuse me. It's the first time I thought of it or said it, so it's not going to come out perfect.
You're doing right.
Grounds you see, you are rejecting those grounds. You want the coffee with not all
those. You don't see them. You see the liquid coffee.
Exactly. Now, the liquid coffee you think you see. But what is that? It's water and it is grounds. The grinds are so fine in there, they made that liquid. So what's happening is there is stuff in your coffee that came from the grounds, and you think you've controlled it because guess what? I'm drinking my coffee and I love it. I don't have all these little bits in it, but it took the bits to make it. And the bits are still in there. You just don't see them. They're fine, fine, fine. So what's happening is you can compare that to all of the things that's gone through into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is a whole bunch of stuff in there that's liquid. It's moving and flowing, and it's going to pop out when it wants to. It'll remember something and you'll say, where did that come from?
So I think I understand. I think what you're saying is our conscious mind is like the product that we drink, our cup of coffee, the liquid, that is because we can see it, we know it, it's real, it's there. the grounds, which you don't see, that actually are the reason why you have the cup of coffee.
Well done. Thank you.
Right? You don't see it. It's there. It's the part.
You wouldn't have the coffee without it.
Right.
You wouldn't have the coffee. So
Right.
it's great when you're planning it, okay? When you're aware, fabulous. But what happens when you're unaware of what's in your subconscious?
So sorry, I might be jumping ahead of you, but is auto-suggestion is what we're saying here with our analogy. Auto-suggestion is when you purposefully put the grounds into the coffee maker, right? You're doing it because you're like, this is what I am going, this is what it is.
I'm keeping this. I want this. I don't want it in what I'm drinking, but I want that to be filtered.
Got it. And when you don't consciously think about what it is, that is when things creep into your subconscious that you're not aware of.
Exactly. Like, I couldn't help but see something. Now, all of a sudden, I'm on this thing on sleep. Okay.
Yes, we all are.
Learning it. I'm on my physical pillar. And all of a sudden, I wake up. And this is what I say to myself. Oh, again, I can't sleep. What do you think that did? I was given a message to my subconscious mind that I couldn't sleep.
Right.
Instead of using the example Jean said, okay, this is normal. This is my breaking sleep habit. Just keep your eyes closed. You'll go back to sleep. That's the positive method. Auto-suggestion is the message you're giving your subconscious mind for what you want.
Right.
So the thing is, we are constantly telling our conscious mind what we don't want. Not because we want to, because we're afraid. I don't want to walk across the street there. Did you see those two people fighting? Don't walk across the street. Don't look at the fight. Walk the other way unless you can do something about it. You got choice. What are you feeding your mind? Are you thinking about that fight all day? Are you thinking about the wonderful person you met a block over that was friendly with you? What are you remembering in the day? And then what are you repeating? Loop, repeat, loop, repeat.
Okay. So this is also what we were talking about before we came on today, which was the affirmations. So let's talk about that.
Let's go. Thank you. So people, you hear these words common: affirmation, visualization, and manifestation, the yens. And we had an interesting conversation about that, because I started with saying manifestation is, I think something and I'm bringing it to life. I get it. I'm making it happen. Manifesting. I'm making it happen.
Yeah. That's how I think of manifestation. I am making it happen.
Now, how am I going to make it happen?
Right.
The act before. So manifestation often is the result of all the things you're doing to make it happen. The action you're taking, the affirmations you're saying, the visualizations. Visualization is the picture, the acting as if. It's the going to bed with your goal card and living as if you're doing that. Right. Living like, I smell the ocean. Oh, my sheets are so comfortable. Outside the door. I know outside of my door, the waves are hitting the rocks. Where am I? It's my trip to Italy I want to take. And I'm on Amalfi Coast.
So help me with this. If manifestation is making it happen, visualization is
what it'll look like when it happens. It's imagining, it's creating, our kids grow up and they play games and they pretend. Let's pretend we're Barbie. Let's pretend we're a fire chief. Halloween is the best example of visualization. I want to be a princess and I dress up as a princess. So you have a goal, you want something. Now to visualize it, you dress up, you bring all of your senses to life, and you feel it and see it exactly the way it'll be when you get it.
So I have manifestation is making it happen. Visualization is seeing it happen. Let's talk about affirmation.
Yeah, affirmation. That's really a personal thing. Many people create a goal card, and that is what they consider their affirmation. They
Right.
read it in the morning, they read it at night, and it is a form of an affirmation. Now, why do you want an affirmation? An affirmation is primarily to get information into your subconscious mind. What information do you want to replace in your subconscious mind? What information do you want to feed your subconscious mind? So you're creating, my goal card, I don't put it in the category of an affirmation, although it is an affirmation.
Okay.
I put my goal card in the whole thing, almost after visualization. But if I could combine affirmation and visualization, that's what I do with my goal card. Visual affirm. I don't know, Karine, you're going to create a word for it.
I'm working on it. I've got some ideas, but I wanted to go, because this is the part where I really get intrigued. We're saying that affirmations, go ahead.
An affirmation is the words, visualizations are the pictures. So affirmation, visualization combined is what I do with my goal. That's why I don't consider it an affirmation. I combine it together. Now, when do I use an affirmation? I use an affirmation to replace something that doesn't serve me well in my subconscious mind. I use an affirmation for something I want to happen. How do I know I need an affirmation? Because I've said, not sleeping again. I need an affirmation. Oh, I'm overweight. I need an affirmation. Oh, I'm too old to do that.
I find this so interesting because you use affirmations to replace, I think I'm putting words in your mouth because I want you to correct them.
Yeah.
You use affirmations to replace a subconscious distraction, something that has come through your subconscious that you know is not correct. So you it's almost like you flip a switch. Is that right?
I flip a switch.
And
I'm so much
an affirmation.
I'm so much better at it today. It doesn't mean like because I recognize them faster.
Well, I bet you do it automatically. I bet you that whole auto suggestion thing is
because I live it. Yes.
I have to make a conscious thing to do that. Well, as soon as I start doubting something, if I got to go and I start thinking like, oh, I can't, well, I almost said a bad word. I can't believe it might not happen, or this is getting in the way. I immediately now I'm like, hold it, get that thought out of your head. Like I actually have to physically stop and say it out loud. Whereas I feel like your affirmations, you use them so often and it's like second nature.
And the difference is if I've just seen something and I know my subconscious mind, I reacted. I saw an accident. I've reacted. I know that that's causing something. So I'm immediately replacing it, and I replace it hard. I work at that. That's going to be like the other day I was walking and a police car was going really fast and popped in front of me and almost hit me and had the lights on. It was on the sidewalk because they were trying to stop somebody. I had a fear. So now when I walk on the street, I don't have confidence. I'm sort of saying, what can happen? So I'm saying, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe walking down this street. And I remind myself about how I'm safe. And I repeat it and I visualize it. What does safe look like? Safe looks like that I'm moving along and people are smiling. And I visualize, I use that. I don't only affirm, I use pictures in my mind to put power. And if I start to get, like if my body does this or I get scared, then I say it's not done yet. So the thing is, when something happens to you that logically you know is going to impact you, you've just got rejected. You've just failed a class in school.
Okay, that's a good one.
You know, that's an easy one. You're in school and you failed. You just failed an exam. I always use this when I'm speaking to people I love that are writing exams because it's such a stressing time. Do you know what exams are for? Exams are for the teacher to be able to evaluate whether they've taught the material well enough.
So I'll even go a step further. And sorry to all the
Yeah,
teachers here, we are generalizing and we know there's a lot more involved because we all have friends and
they
loved ones
love
that are.
exams if they're
No,
doing
but
that.
what I was going to say, it's actually an exam is for, I'm going to go really political for a second. It's for the governing body to get some sort of numerical evaluation as to whether or not the curriculum is being taught and received by the general student population.
And that is that,
That
for
is that.
sure.
So they
And
try to get the average student,
but for
the
the
average learner, the
person
information.
writing the exam,
Yeah.
you know, they may not be. I could tell you, I understand the material of Napoleon Hill. I thought I knew it even more, but I know it very well.
Mhm.
But when it came to multiple choice, I struggled.
Right.
And yet I can probably answer every principle and speak to it. Like I study this hours and hours every day. However, when it came to multiple choice, for some
Right.
reason,
Your brain
I
could trick you.
struggle.
Your
Trick
brain
me.
could trick you.
So the thing is that that's maybe why I'm reminded, but I'm thinking about all the students heading up to midterms now. If you could do yourself a favor, so if your brain is a muscle, if it's moving, right? I want you to imagine when you start feeding your conscious mind, oh, I'm afraid I may fail. Okay. You're closing it. So when you get into that exam, do yourself a favor and use an affirmation. Use the affirmation that you've got this. So you get to a question and you don't get it. You say, oh, I don't know this one. No, 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 no. Stop that. Move on to the next one. Your brain will remember what it's supposed to remember when it's supposed to remember. So you move on calmly, knowing that if you get stressed, you're going to tighten it all up and it will not be able to receive the messages that you've programmed. Because when you're studying, what do you think you're doing? You're feeding your subconscious mind. When you're in a classroom and the teacher's teaching, this is the power. I was just reading this today on the mastermind in the brain. Why does a mastermind work? Because you're in a room, you have a mind and they have a mind. And that's ether, liquid. And all of you are thinking. Your subconscious mind is capturing these messages. So you will know things you don't even know why you know them because right. Your friend knows them. So if you give your mind the chance and don't feed it that you don't know it, instead trust and have faith that you know more than you think you know, and that it doesn't matter. You're right. Going to get through if you've done the work. Not if you go home and say, I'm just going to rely on my mind. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I do the work all the time.
But that's also like saying, I have a goal to make $1 million, but you just sit back and wait for $1 million to fall into your lap.
Yeah. I have a goal for a cottage or a country lifestyle. And meanwhile, I'm just going to sit in this house right now,
go watch TV for a couple hours, put on a Netflix show, whatever. It's going to happen. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, this has been very interesting. I love this conversation. And I hope that there's some young people that are getting ready, or parents. If you're a parent, remind your child.
I'm gonna close with so I have twins that are in first year university. One of them is in engineering and he's got a midterm tonight at 6 o'clock. And we talked last night and he likes to talk to me right before he goes into his exam. And I know I'm gonna right now, as soon as I hang up, I'm gonna tell him, write out your affirmation, write it out literally on a piece of paper, carry it with you all day today. And as soon as you start having a doubt, if you're worried about how you're going to do, you look at your affirmation. So thank you, Katherine. You have helped me as usual, personally. And I'm with you. I hope we helped one person out there listening today, or maybe you can pass on this information to somebody that you know it would help. That's what we're all about at Sage, helping others.
Because we're living in, they talk about mental health all the time. We talk about mental wealth. We can't fix you if you're broken mentally. We can't. Like I don't want to discount psychology and mental illness. But if you don't have a mental illness, if you're just sad,
there's tools. Yeah.
There's tools that can help you. And if you do have a mental illness, talk to your doctor, but come on board. try these things with the guidance of professionals, but you won't hurt yourself with the stuff we do.
Gosh. Of course
Take
not. That is okay. Anyways, we'll talk more. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. It's Friday. Yay.
I'm going to stop the live stream.
Okay.
I'm
bye.
going to stop the recording.